Canadians permanently leaving the country hits the highest level since 1967. More than 106,000 left. For so long, Canada was seen as the ultimate destination. Nature's masterpiece, healthcare for all, a great life, and kind neighbors. It was where dreams took root. But the story's changing fast. Rising crime, fewer jobs, and sky-high housing paint a different picture. Even the locals are choosing to leave. What's causing this shift? Is the Canadian dream losing its shine? Let's uncover the reality.
A new report says economic migrants who were chosen by the government to come to Canada are leaving the country in record numbers.
You might want to ask, is there a mass exodus from Canada? It may not be a mass exodus just yet, but more Canadians are increasingly leaving the country than we've seen in years. In the last quarter of 2024, 24,533 Canadians left Canada, marking the highest level of departures since 1967. In total, 106,134 people left that year. The trend has been building for years. 85,927 left in 2021, 93,818 in 2022. While this still represents only a small fraction of Canada's total population, the consistent increase in emigration is raising concerns. Still, Canada keeps putting in place several measures to welcome thousands of immigrants each year, aiming to reach 500,000 annually by 2025. But take a second to think of it. If more people are arriving than leaving, why does it feel like there's a growing wave of Canadians considering a move abroad? The answer lies beyond just numbers, but in what those numbers represent. While emigration remains relatively low in proportion to the total population, the almost 30% rise over the past 5 years points to something deeper. And it's not just retirees or the elderly that are leaving, but young professionals, skilled workers, and entrepreneurs in the prime of their lives. Even some immigrants and permanent residents are choosing to leave, despite the effort it took to settle in Canada in the first place. It's surprising given Canada's current economy. The country has seen relative prosperity in recent years, with a stable economy and low unemployment, yet people are still heading out. What's driving them? The answer lies in a growing disconnect between Canada's economic promises and the reality in which its people live. After nearly a decade under Conservative leadership, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau came to power in 2015 on a platform of real change. His message of affordable housing, a strong middle class, and a more inclusive society brought the optimism of a new era. Almost a decade later, nothing has changed, leaving many Canadians wondering, what went wrong? Housing prices have become unaffordable, living costs keep rising, and more immigrants are leaving. The optimism of 2015 feels far away, replaced by disappointment and frustration. Growing emigration isn't just about traveling. It reflects a deeper unease about the future in Canada. Ask most Canadians today what worries them the most, and the answer is clear: housing.
The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation is going back more than 75 years to look for inspiration and a way to solve the country's housing crisis.
Housing is a major problem many Canadians face. Owning a suitable house at an affordable price is now almost impossible, pushing many to seek better options beyond the shores of Canada. But it was not always like this. Years ago, one of the major milestones for a middle-class Canadian was owning a home, a goal made achievable by the country's once stable housing market. What was once considered the Canadian dream is now becoming a nightmare. Housing markets have seen an alarming rise in property prices, pushing homeownership far out of reach for ordinary people. In major urban centers like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal, owning a home has become extremely expensive. Vancouver, one of the most costly cities in Canada, requires an annual income of around 360,000 Canadian dollars to afford an average home priced at about 2 million Canadian dollars. Ironically, this figure is more than 5 times the national median income. Low housing supply, insufficient new construction, low interest rates, and speculative investments have all contributed to the sharp rise in housing costs. A key driver has been Canada's growing population, largely fueled by immigration. Every year, tens of thousands of immigrants flood in. In fact, in 2022, Canada welcomed the largest number of immigrants in its history, with over 437,500 539 immigrants admitted to tackle labor shortage and support economic growth. While immigration brings many benefits, it also places significant pressure on the already limited housing supply. To meet the growing demand, experts estimate that Canada needs to build about 5 million more homes by 2030. However, developers are finding it hard to meet this target. Local government efforts are often slowed by resistance from existing homeowners towards new development, tax burdens, and regulations, all of which contribute to the affordability crisis. As of April 2023, the Canadian Real Estate Association, CREA, reported that the average home price was approximately $700,000 Canadian dollars. That's about $506,000 US dollars, an increase of over 80% in 10 years. This surge in prices has pushed many out of the cities, as both buying and renting have become unaffordable. In Toronto, for example, the rent for a one-bedroom apartment exceeded $2,500 Canadian dollars in 2023. Vancouver faces a similar situation, with extremely limited affordable housing and a very low rental vacancy rate, leading to intense competition. Many renters, particularly young people, were caught in a cycle of rising rents that consume their income. Across the nation, individuals are caught in a tough spot. Choose between paying rent or putting food on the table. At the University of British Columbia, some students have resorted to living in vans because of soaring rental costs.
That's our favorite spot. Here there are some facilities, there are bathrooms, and when it's warm, there were also showers, so we just stayed here.
As the situation worsens, landlords are cramming students into overcrowded makeshift rooming houses. This issue goes beyond a simple housing crisis. It's a deeper struggle affecting lives. To address this issue, the government has launched a $6 billion Canadian dollar fund to accelerate housing construction and upgrades. Additionally, changes to mortgage regulations now allow first-time homebuyers to extend their repayment period from 25 to 30 years. This adjustment has provided some relief and made it easier for new buyers to enter the housing market. However, beyond housing, Canada's general cost of living is also rising. Apart from the housing crisis, the cost of living in Canada is gradually becoming neck-breaking.
The skyrocketing cost of living is difficult for both people who've lived in Canada for a long time and for newcomers.
Groceries, gas, and other essentials are becoming more expensive, with inflation reaching 6.8% in 2022, well above the Bank of Canada's 2% target. Grocery prices rose by over 10%, making it harder for middle-class Canadians to manage their finances and afford a comfortable life. A major factor behind rising grocery prices is that a few giant companies control about 80% of Canada's grocery market. Without government intervention, these monopolies have driven up prices and shut out competition, hurting Canadians every day. Although inflation is a global phenomenon, many Canadians feel that their relatively high salaries have not kept pace with the rapid rise in living expenses. As a result, some are exploring opportunities in countries with lower living costs or higher incomes. Adding to the strain are higher energy bills driven by carbon taxes, which are hitting people hard, especially rural dwellers who depend heavily on fuel. Government cashbacks, like the Climate Action Incentive Payment, offer some relief but are insufficient. Meanwhile, businesses are relocating due to high costs, leading to fewer jobs and stagnant wages, and leaving many feeling that they can't get ahead. Canada also has a job problem. While the country continues to welcome hundreds of thousands of immigrants annually, many migrant-skilled workers are finding it difficult to fit into a labor market that no longer has room for them. According to Bloomberg, Canada's working-age population grew by 1 million in 2023, but only 324,000 jobs were created. This record population growth, fueled by immigration, is boosting GDP but reducing the country's capacity to absorb newcomers. As a result, living standards are falling, especially for young people and immigrants. Despite Canada's reputation as a land of hope, the growing gap between job creation and population growth suggests that life is getting harder. The belief that immigration alone will solve labor shortages is proving incomplete. Without enough jobs, many newcomers face long periods of unemployment, financial stress, and uncertainty. At the same time, young Canadians are also struggling to launch their careers and build their lives. Meanwhile, The rise of remote work has changed everything. Professionals now have more freedom than ever to work from anywhere in the world, and many are choosing to leave. Portugal, Spain, and even parts of the United States are becoming attractive alternatives, offering a lower cost of living, easier regulatory environments, better weather, and sometimes more fulfilling work opportunities. Back home, many Canadians are stuck in part-time or contract roles with little job security or access to benefits. Wages are no longer keeping pace with the rising cost of living. Everything costs more. Planning for the future and raising a family has become increasingly difficult for the average Canadian. Apart from this comes the issue of adverse climatic conditions. The Canadian dream, once driven by beautiful landscapes and a secure, high quality of life, seems to be slipping away. Climate change is hitting harder than ever. Heat waves, wildfires, floods, extreme weather is becoming normal. In Canada's colder provinces, the long winters are taking a toll, contributing to health issues like seasonal affective disorder. Meanwhile, the rising crime rate is causing concern, leading many to question the sustainability of the lifestyle Canada once promised. Beyond the environmental shifts, political tensions are growing. A country once known for stability and open-mindedness now seems increasingly divided on issues like healthcare, gun control, national security, and freedom of speech. Provinces are pulling in different directions. Oil-rich Alberta, for instance, feels left behind as the world transitions to clean energy. Canadians' trust in public healthcare is starting to fade. Long wait times for essential treatments are pushing many toward expensive private alternatives. What was once a national point of pride is now under strain from nursing shortages and increased demand for services. Economic concerns are adding to the unease. Many worry that Canada's heavy reliance on natural resources, coupled with insufficient investment in innovation and technology, will hinder long-term growth. Entrepreneurs, frustrated by strict regulations, are relocating their businesses and families to countries like the US, attracted by lower taxes and faster processes. And the result? A growing brain drain. A lot of smart and educated people are leaving the country to work elsewhere. Despite having a strong economy and some of the world's top universities, Canada has struggled to retain its top talent, especially in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, due to limited opportunities. For years, these skilled workers have been heading abroad in search of better jobs, higher pay, faster promotions, and more exciting work. Take the tech world, for example. Silicon Valley, home to many of the world's most innovative companies, offers all these incentives. As a result, many Canadian engineers, developers, and entrepreneurs are relocating there or to other big tech centers in Europe. Though Canada aspires to be a leader in technology and innovation, it finds it hard to compete with these larger job markets. Beyond the tech industry, professionals in healthcare and banking are also leaving for better pay, more satisfying roles, and greater opportunities for career advancement. Simply put, there aren't enough top-level jobs. This is why many young talents are pursuing more exciting careers abroad. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, ACS, 126,340 people moved from Canada to the U.S. in 2022, a significant increase from the 75,752 who moved in 2012. All this leaves us with a question: is living in Canada still worth it? The idea of a good life is what constitutes the Canadian dream. Even though this might feel out of reach right now, it is not outright impossible. Solutions exist, but they require strong leadership and real-time changes. Let's dive in. To fix the housing crisis, Canada needs to build more homes, speed up development approvals, and create seamless immigration and housing policies. To reduce the high cost of living, Canada must prevent big companies from having too much control and support a competitive environment for businesses and investments. This will create more job opportunities and boost economic growth. Most importantly, the voices of those struggling to make ends meet, who feel their dreams are slipping away, must be heard. Only then will those in power truly understand what the average Canadian is facing and know how to respond. That's when the Canadian dream can come back to life. Or do you think this dream can't be revived? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments, and before you go, ensure you watch other videos on our channel